Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Colony Drop, a Gundam podcast. My name is Brian.
And my name is Isaac. This is your favorite Gundam podcast where we talk about anything and everything that's related to Gundam. So that could be Gunpla, which are the models, or Gundam music, like the intros and outros, Gundam concepts and ideas, the lore, manga, really anything and everything that has to do with this amazing multiverse called Gundam. Isn't that right, Brian?
That is right, Isaac. And today we have after our marathon double 2-hour reviews of Gundam 00, we have a nice little top 5, or maybe 6 in Isaac's case, top 5 lists palette cleanser. Because we haven't done a top 5 in a while yet, right, Isaac? So
right, it's been a long time, and I wouldn't even call that a marathon. Like that became a slog. Like I had to watch it twice because there were times where like episodes went in one eye and came out the other, so to speak.
Yeah, poor Isaac. The delay, the hiatus was so long that the poor guy actually had to watch it a second time. And I was conversing with Australian Isaac on Instagram, Isaac.
Oh,
and
no.
he brought up a great point. He thought maybe this was a conspiracy. Maybe that you actually really love the show, and that's why you had to watch it twice. And I was like, that would be the biggest scandal in Colony Drop history if you really loved the show and you were actually watching it twice because you loved it.
You know what? You need to tell him to get back inside Gundam Wallaby and get minding his own business. That's what he needs to do. Oh, Australian Isaac, how much we love you as we drop colonies on your capital.
It's how Isaac shows love.
Actually, no. Ooh, not the capital. Canberra is the capital of Australia, from what I recall.
Look at that. You're learning. You're studying.
Yeah. We're at Xeon. We're working on our targeting. I'm kidding. All right. Anyways, yes. Maybe it was a conspiracy, Brian. I'm a secret 00 fan. I just can't get enough of Aeolia Shinberg showing up like once every 12 episodes to give a very cryptic speech.
You were just like, you know what? I think I'll just watch it again.
God, who is this guy? Why are they taking orders from Aeolia Shinberg? Oh well. Anyways, or what's his name? Shinberg or Schoenberg?
I think it's Shinberg. Schoenberg. I don't know. German people out there. How do you pronounce it?
Yeah. Aeolia McGerman. All right, there we go.
So Isaac, today your directive to me was give me 5 characters, suits, situations, or battles that we want more of.
That's right. Yeah. You know, there's so much stuff in Gundam, and everyone's got like their favorite characters, their favorite suits, but no one's, I think, to my knowledge, really kind of maybe articulated what they want to see more of, whether that's a certain type of maybe category of mobile suits or a type of side story, certain types of battles or events, things like that. You know, so that's what we're going to talk about today. Just the gimme jimmies.
It sounds like a street drug, gimme jimmies.
Do you just see like a gym pilot, like kind of motioning towards him like, hey, come here.
I feel like that's something you ask in like an alleyway, you know, like, give me some of your jimmies.
Gimme Jimmy. It's from Better Call Saul. It's Gimme Jimmy.
Great show, by the way, listeners, if you haven't watched Better Call Saul.
Yeah, amazing.
Fantastic.
Yeah. But yes, so that's what we're going to talk about today. The 4 gimme mores. I'm sorry, the 5.
Or in your case, you made 6. All right, well, I only had 5 because I abided by the rules. So why don't you start that you can start and end?
Sure. Yeah, and I didn't put these in a particular order. These are top 5s, not, specifically categorized. Sure. But in no surprise to anybody, these mostly revolve around war. And top of my list, just off the bat, I wrote that I'd love to see so much more about Seed pre-Bloody Valentine War. And by that I mean, the actual battle where the Earth Alliance actually made it to the plants and set off some nukes, because that must have been a really pitched battle, right? Yeah. Can you imagine? Yeah. Early days of Zaft, Earth Alliance finally organizing and said, you know what, we're going to just go with the nukes. And, seeing early Blue Cosmos, well, maybe not early, but definitely aggressive stance Blue Cosmos and Logos doing what they do. Yeah, I feel like that's definitely an underrated side story. I'm actually kind of surprised they haven't animated something like that, because it kind of writes itself. It's just a war setting. Why haven't you done it? And you can bring back so many familiar faces like Athrun and Patrick Zala and even Kira and Kigali and all that.
And you could have Azrael there just pushing the button.
Yeah, my buddy.
Do you think he would have detonators in both hands, like one in each hand, and just clicking it over and over? Click, clack, click, clack.
Click, 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 click. And then the whole neutron jammer thing, you can go into that. But yeah, and I know listeners, there's at least one fan who's like listening and it's like, oh, you know, in in manga prequel, The Destiny of Seed, Walnut Gundam, it's all about that, you know. But I want it animated. So yeah, that's my number one, Brian. That's right off the bat in my top 5. What do you think? I mean, would you love to see that or what?
Well, maybe. I mean, Seed Freedom is knocking it out of the park in the Japanese box office. So I think they're already making another Seed project, some sort of side story or something. So I think if this had any chance of happening, now is probably the best time because the film has renewed interest in the series. So maybe I don't think you'd be the only one who would want it. I mean, there's obviously a legion of Seed fans out there. So
say what you will about Seed, but like it was overall done well enough. You know, it's not a terrible watch.
Is this the 00 effect? Are you like
everything's
you
better?
Looking more favorably on Seed now after enduring?
It's like the Star Wars sequels. Like everybody loves the prequels now just because they look, you know, so much nicer next to the sequels. Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. I'll say this too. I'd rather watch Gundam Seed than any of the Star Wars sequels.
Oh wow. That's a big statement from Isaac.
Yeah, I was like such a great Star Wars fan, and then now it's like a bad experience looking back. It's like a bad hang gliding accident that I survived.
What does Star Wars have to do to bring you back? And then what does 00? What would 00 have to do to bring you back?
Oh man, 00 would have to do almost a 4th movie. Or a 4th, not a season, I guess it tends to be their 3rd season that takes place after the 00 movie. And it would just have to be amazing. They would like have to hand it off to like the 0083 team mixed with like the Iron Blooded Orphans team. And it is just the best thing ever. It does for Gundam Wing in America. It essentially does Gundam Wing in America again. Yeah. That's how amazing they do it. That would have to pull me onto 00. What Star Wars would have to do to bring me back is they need to do it right. I don't know if they have to give it back to George Lucas. Maybe that sounds kind of like what they're doing. But yeah, everything we've got was kind of not Star Wars. It's kind of weird how you had to go to a show to kind of start getting Star Wars again, like The Mandalorian.
Well, you heard it here, Disney and Sunrise. Laid it out for you. No, I like it. I think maybe the reason why this hasn't been animated is because it is one of those things where you write it down as a good backstory, and then you animate it, and you're like, holy hell, this is too brutal, right? Like, you'd be showing death on just an incredible level.
How is that any different than the rest of like Seed and Seed Destiny? Like in Seed Destiny, Requiem took out a bunch of plants again.
That's fair.
We kind of joked about it to an extent. We're like, well, if that's what missing does, we need to miss more often.
It's similar to asking like, why haven't they animated the colony gassing? And they have, but in like bits and pieces here and there, right? I don't think there's been a full on like, all right, we're gonna do 3 episodes about this, right?
Yeah, Origin kind of captured it the best. It was brief, but like they gave like that tiny little self-contained love story. And then other than that, we just have like Shiro and his experience, and then a little bit of Shima, but like she was clearly on the she was on the side that didn't really need to worry too much about the gas, if you know what I mean.
She's like crying as she sprayed the gas, like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. She was like, this is so traumatic. They're like, well, how do you think the people inside
maybe
feel?
Take your finger off the trigger.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I think you're going to get some support for that one.
I hope so. Brian, what is on your list, either in order or just not in order?
I don't think I really have an order, but this one, I'm going to give you the first one because I think there's 0% chance of this ever happening.
Oh, wow.
And that is, I really liked from Victory Gundam, Isaac, I really liked the Gun Easy. Wow. Which was the sort of the mass-produced Victory Gundam that the Strike team. Yeah, they were really cool. I really liked the combat. And one thing that we didn't get from that show was a lot of how the hell is Zanskar taking over the world, right? Like, how are these buffoons doing this? If you look into the Mobile Suit Variations...
Buffoons? These idiots in wig.
Someone's just letting them run wild on the earth. If you look into the Gun Easy's Mobile Suit Variations, there's another type called the Gun Easy Ground type, and it's a Gun Easy that's remodeled for land combat. And there's two different versions. There's one that's like painted desert-like, which you'd probably enjoy. It's like brown, khaki colored. And then there's an all-blue version, which is from the Bluebird team. And I was like, who's the Bluebird team? That sounds cool.
Wow, yeah.
The only real thing that they have is one line on the wiki. It says the Bluebird team cooperated with the AAAA team, also known as the Four Avengers, to curb the Zanskar Empire's invasion of Africa. And I was like, This sounds cool. Who are the Four Avengers? Who's the Bluebird team? And what was happening in Africa? This is a lot more information than I knew that we had, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So, okay, who were the Four Avengers? The only thing I can find is there's a post from some guy named Bill Bros on the Mecha Talk forums back in, I think, 2020. He says that Zionic scanlated something that says the Four Avengers is in possession of James guns with a D-type code number assigned to them. Modifications performed on site as they contend with Bespa's African District Suppression Forces on the African front. As the name suggests, here's where it gets interesting, Isaac.
Okay.
Lieutenant Robert Gomez, who aided the Ligue Militaire, remember he was the captain of the Reinforce.
Oh, yeah.
He was one of the Four Avengers. He belonged to this unit of warriors with 4 mobile suits, which were the James guns, and he cooperated with the Ligue Militaire's Nocturnal Assault Combat Unit and the Bluebird team, and they put a stop to Bespa's advancing forces near Kilimanjaro.
Wow.
So look, I loved Gomez. He was one of the best parts of the show. He really had his head on straight.
Yeah.
He was a no-nonsense guy. I don't know, give us a side story manga about the Gun Easies with teaming up with Gomez, and give us a little bit more about Zanskar. It was kind of like a hole in the gap in knowledge. Granted, a lot of people probably aren't going to read it because Victory Gundam at this point.
Right.
But they look cool, man. The Gun Easies look awesome. I wish we could get a little more on that. You know, I'm not pitching this as a 50-episode show, but
no,
we get weird mangas out there. Give me one about the Bluebird team and the Four Avengers, because those are some cool names and some cool designs.
God, Brian, that's like they have everything ready to go for the side story. They just haven't done it.
Right.
It's all kind of background lore.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think there's any manga about that. I think it was just written in the line notes of the mobile suit variation designs for those suits.
Right.
So probably been sitting there 30 years, Isaac.
God.
No one's used it.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised. Like 4 mobile suits held off Zanskar in Africa, because my headcanon is kind of like, yeah, Zanskar kind of claims they took over, chunks of Europe, but whenever we see them, there's almost nothing but forest around. So they're not exactly going toe to toe with like the Federation armies in Europe. It's always like Ligue Militaire defending like a small village,
Trees don't fight back much, so.
Yeah, you can claim you took over so much territory that way. But now that I think about it, your main point was like you wanted to see more about Zanskar and like as far as their conquest and stuff on Earth.
Yeah, I think this would be a good vehicle to get that done.
You know what? They could have explained it clearly in that recap episode where they're like reporting to the Queen. But maybe for time reasons, they really just want to focus on like, by the way, Your Majesty, this Gundam showed up and it's causing problems.
Yeah, that series had too many episodes, I think, probably to begin with. So they probably should have used 5 of them to maybe expand a little bit.
I'm not surprised Zanskar had trouble in Africa because, as you recall, they can't even control their own side.
One colony.
That series is
still
still
lockdown.
There's so much. There's still so much ambiguity. Still, we have no idea how far Zanskar actually went, other than their own colonies, where I guess they don't control a handful at their side, and then whatever small piece of Europe they seem to control.
Maybe we'll find out more in like Crossbone Dust or something when we get there.
Sure.
But anyway, Isaac, number 2.
All right, number 2. Now, I hope everyone's sitting down at home, everybody listening, because this might be a bit of a shocker, because this one concerns Gundam Wing.
Oh my.
Yeah, what I'd like to see more of, and I'm surprised they haven't done it. Well, okay, there's probably a manga out there. This goes for all of our ideas, Brian and my own. Yes, we know there's a billion Gundam mangas out there, and they almost always dive into like prequels or sidequels and stuff like that, but there's too many for us to be aware of. Okay, so this top 5 today, it's kind of more like we'd almost want like a series, ideally, but yes, if there's no manga, then we'd want the manga. Okay, right?
Yep.
So for this item, for my number 2, for Gundam Wing, I would like to see the formation of the United Earthsphere Alliance, which, as you remember, was the bad guy organization at the beginning that was backed by Rockefeller, took control of Earth, unified it, and then said, you know what? Those colonies, they have to be brought under control too. And they sent their Leos out into space and took control of the colonies. Colony resistance kind of said, well, we need to build Gundams and stuff like that. So instead of just having 5 Gundams appear in this little cycle, give me more story, I would like maybe like 3 kind of proto Gundams. And I thought they'd be kind of cool to have them as mishmashes of what we'd eventually get in the 5 Gundams. Like we'd have Gundam Heavy Wings. It flies and has guns. We'd have Gundam Death Rock. It's kind of cloaked and has close combat weapons, stuff like that. And then we kind of see maybe the scientists when they're young and stuff, and the resistance when it could still communicate before Rockefeller and the Alliance cut off communication with the colonies. That's kind of the story, how people fought on Earth for independence. Things didn't work out. We could include Hiro Yui doing a lot, Sane Kingdom. It'd be a great prequel series, I think, even if it's a little mini-series.
Two things. One, you must be in a good mood today, given that your first two items were seed-related and wing-related.
I did eat chocolate.
And that you asked for more Leos.
Can't get enough.
Thing number two, I mean, I love the scientists. They were some of the best parts of Gundam Wing.
Oh, they were great, yeah.
So anything more with the scientists is always welcome.
Yeah, they were the unsung heroes, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, they sacrificed themselves at the end, so spoilers, I guess.
Pretty much, yeah. Of course, the real hero is Jermail. Some folks say he's still up there in space.
Deathrock and Heavy Wings gives me heavy like build fighters vibes. Like I feel like you would see those in a build show where someone would combine the two. Heavy Wings also gives me I don't know, for whatever reason, it makes me think of that dragon from the Dungeons and Dragons movie that like was too fat to fly.
Oh, Themberchild, I think was his name. Yeah. He definitely enjoyed eating that city alive.
I like it.
Yeah, hopefully. I think it'd be fun. How about you, Brian? What's your next one?
Let's see. Next one, this one has a moderately higher chance of happening. So there's a few gym variants that I like that we don't see a whole lot. And one of them I like because of the name, and one of them I like because of the design. One of the designs is the Gym Sniper Custom. This is not the Gym Sniper 2. This is called the Gym Sniper Custom. This is like the precursor to the Gym Sniper 2. It's very basic looking, but I think it looks really neat. It has a dark green color scheme. It looks very military. I think it would fit right in like a 0083 style show.
I was about to ask, how different is this than the customs that the Immortal 4th team got?
It actually looks pretty similar, but it's okay. More 1 year war era, so it's not quite as advanced.
Ah, I see.
And one of our listeners, probably 2 years ago, reminded me or told me that the Federation's highest scoring ace in the war, who is not Amuro, it's 10th A Jung, he piloted a Gym Sniper Custom. So.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah. And then the other one is called the Gym Night Seeker. And I just feel like you got to do something if you're going to have a cool name like the Gym Night Seeker. Like, why don't we see that one more? That seems cool. Its design is a little weird. It's got these like boosters on the chest, and it's got this like visor thing.
Chest boosters?
Yeah, wow. Yeah. Let me send you a picture here.
Is the name itself like focused on its role in combat? Like
yes.
This is wow, yes. Night missions. It's so rare to even see manga where they do things at night, you know?
Yes, that's actually where I'm going with this.
Oh, well, I'm sorry for getting ahead of you. And I was laughing earlier because I was about to say we have to correct ourselves in the edit because it should be known as the formerly Immortal 4th team.
That's true. One of them does fall, so, you know.
Wow, this thing, like...
You could also just call them the real jackasses, too, because...
Yeah, the Team Me Too, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
The HR meeting team.
Me Ford.
Oh, boy. Let's see. You know what? What I like about this already, and this is a weird thing to say, kind of, but it's kind of giving me Star Wars vibes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying that because it's just so different than almost everything we've seen Gundam-wise. Almost nothing has a visor in that way or the face covering in that way. God, what is that? Like a targeting sensor or like some type of periscope?
Yeah,
wow.
So check this out. So it says that the Night Seeker is specialized for night attacks. They're dropped on Zeon military bases using a gun parry.
Oh my God.
And it is not equipped with a parachute pack. It's basically like, hey, here you go. The thrusters on the chest are for a quicker landing. So you know how the wiki points out that it doesn't have a parachute pack like the ground Gundams did because it's lighter weight. You get out and you go.
Yeah. You know what it sounds like? It sounds like the thing that special forces do, a Halo high altitude, low opening where they jump from the low atmosphere.
Right.
And then they open the chute at like an unsafe distance from the ground just so almost no one detects them.
That's right. Exactly. So my thought is we use the Night Seekers and the Gym Sniper Custom to drop into a base, and the Sniper Custom is either covering them from the air, from the ground with actual sniper rifles, so we get to see some of the sniping that we like.
Oh.
And the closest thing I can think of is there was that episode of 8th MS Team where they fought in the air, like where they were dropping and stuff. I remember they dropped on the Gaus.
Oh yeah.
That was pretty cool. But if you set it at night, I feel like that's really cool. And I really like the other night scenes we've got. We got the one in 0083 when Gato was stealing Unit 2, and then we got a little bit of night fighting in the Hathaway movie, which was awesome. So I think we're overdue for some 1 year war tense night stealth missions, Isaac. And you could, on the Xeon side, you could throw in something that's very different than a Night Seeker. Give us more, I don't remember when the Zommel was made, but give us a Zommel or give us somehow they have one of them Juagus that they couldn't find. Maybe one of them fires up a Juagu.
How about a bunch of DOMs like panicking and like spinning in circles and they have like giant spotlights on them?
Yeah, there you go.
We can't find them unless we keep putting this light everywhere.
It reminds me of children who don't know how to drive RC cars.
Yeah, or when you give a kid like a flashlight and they just go around blinding people.
Right. Though after I came up with this idea, I did read that these two suits are actually in some scenes together in the 0083 Rebellion manga. So I guess we do need to read that at some point.
Yeah.
I think night scenes, Isaac, particularly, they play way better in animation. So I would like to see something animated.
Yeah. The reason they're not done, I mean, is it just because, well, most people are awake during the day, so most of our story takes place during the day? Or is this an issue of, like, for animation reasons, like, if you look at the numbers, it's like, well, it's going to cost way more money to animate a night scene?
Oh, could be. I don't know. I mean, you are using a lot more color in the sense that you have to color everything, although now it's all digital, so I don't know if it matters. But back in the day, it probably would have been a lot more.
So this green suit, that's the sniper custom?
Yeah.
Wow. It looks so much better than really either of the snipers that I've seen. The regular Jim Sniper from 8th MS team, that he really is a glorified turret, if you think about it.
His job is to hold the gun and push the trigger.
Yeah, he doesn't even need to move. Or the other poor Jim 2s that were
they got wasted.
I don't think they got off a shot against the Comfer. This thing looks so much more purpose-built for ground. You almost never see Jims or any Federation suits in like an actual green for combat. I guess because they know that the last thing they want to do is look like a Zaku.
Yeah.
But man, what a great design.
I really like the command antenna on the back. I think that's a good change up of the design. The Pale Rider also uses that, I believe, which is another good design. Looks very similar. So.
Cool angle. I love it. Good choices, Brian. Yeah, this would make for a great story. Or you know what? For both of us, just add to our list more night stuff. All right.
Yeah.
Give us more things happening at night. Not everything needs to happen in the day. Yeah, there's no reason we can't see the night more.
Yeah. All right. Number 3.
Here we go. Speaking of night, sort of. All right. A lot of listeners, I know most of you haven't seen Gundam X, After War Gundam X, for a variety of reasons, probably because it wasn't released in a dub. But what I'd love to see, and what's kind of really waiting in terms of just ready to go, ready for a side story, ready for a prequel series, is more about the entire 7th Space War, which was the final war in Gundam X. Spoiler alert, when the rebelling faction called the Space Revolutionary Army decided to drop almost every single colony in the Earth sphere on Earth. So we're talking dozens, if not hundreds, of colonies fell to Earth at the end of the 7th Space War. So yeah, seeing that entire war and how it led to the development of the Gundams and eventually fighting the final fight in space, the final battle, I think that'd be awesome. And I'm surprised it hasn't been done yet. And you can, again, bring back a lot of characters. Technically, you could even do the wars prior to the 7th Space War. My kind of headcanon is there were no colony drops in the after-war timeline prior to the 7th Space War. Because had there been, then the Earth Federation of that timeline would have developed the Gundam X earlier. Since the 7th Space War was the first time they were threatened with a mass colony drop, not even just one colony, but a whole mass, that's when they had to really do a crash project and develop the satellite system and the Gundam X. It's canon to reach a level of power where it can one-shot a colony. It'd be awesome to see all that lore just kind of brought back to life. And it really writes itself in terms of a series waiting to happen. Yeah, what do you think, Brian?
Well, one, I didn't put this on my list because I knew it would be on your list, so I thought it was a wasted spot.
Of course, yeah.
And you're right, it does kind of write itself because you could have Jamil Neat, be one of the main characters, right? I mean, he was piloting a Gundam X at the time.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I like that headcanon. That's a good idea. It's either that or like in the first war they dropped one, second one they dropped two, and by the 7th one they were just like F it, just drop all of them. Like it's not working. Just give it everything you got. Like put it, pedal to the metal.
I like how they had like a sliding scale. Like, well, one more will convince them to surrender.
Yeah, they just gave up at the end. They're just, it's fine. Just do all of them.
Since this is a seventh space war, like maybe you're kind of right though, Brian. Like, the war gets to a point where like they drop one, and then like there's peace, right? They establish a peace agreement.
Yeah.
You know, and they were like, well, this time they're gonna agree. No, it turned out they didn't agree to peace.
Yeah, can you imagine being the guy after the sixth one where like then they still have a disagreement after the sixth one, and he's just like,
yeah,
these like they are not getting it. Just fine. Just
this
give
is
it
our
all.
seventh war. Yeah. Can't we just agree? Like what?
I mean, there are a few Gundam X manga. I believe Zeonic has scanlated some of them, so we'll have to read those after we do our Gundam X show. I don't know if they're any good. I really don't know what they're about, but I don't think any of them are about the Seventh Space War, but I could be wrong. I think they're more like side stories to the existing show.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, there's so much happened in that show.
Yeah, in a very short period of time. So I see people every now and then asking for more Gundam X models. I feel like there's a underground Gundam X fandom, but it's definitely less.
Yeah.
I think it's low on Sunrise's totem pole of things to do more with.
Absolutely. It's got like a cult following because it's so unique as far as being post-apocalyptics and Gundam and just having a short run itself, but also having such interesting concepts and ideas. And it's in its own category. If any listener hasn't had the chance to see it yet and you're half curious, just go for it. You'll really enjoy the ride. Just go in open-minded.
Yeah, I agree. Great show.
All right. What's next, buddy?
All right, number 3. So I tried to make sure at least one of mine related to a non-UC show. So I chose our pals in the post-disaster timeline, Iron-Blooded Orphans.
Of course.
And I'm not going to say what everyone thinks I'm going to say, which is give me the Calamity War movie, because we've already said that many times.
Yeah.
But what I would like to see as part of the Calamity War movie or part of a Calamity War side story is more on the Valkyrja frames. So if you remember in the show, McGillis Farid piloted the Grimgird, which was a Valkyrja frame rather than a Gundam frame. There were, I believe, 72 Gundam frames after the Demons, and there was only 9 Valkyrja frames ever made. If you remember, Isaac and I weren't a huge fan of the Grimgird, mainly because, in my opinion, the legs were too short. Looks a little too stumpy. If you extend the legs a little bit, I think it looks much better.
Stumped.
Yeah. And I had to look this up, Isaac, just to make sure that I say this thing right. I listened to some old Norse guy on TikTok, and the way he pronounces it is Valkyrja and then Valkyrja, and that apparently means chooser of the slain in Old Norse, which I think is a really cool definition.
Wow.
A few more have been revealed, Isaac, after the show has been over in the different mobile games and the side stories. We are currently sitting at 5 of the 9 being revealed. There are 4 remaining. And some of the ones that have come out I like a little bit more than the Grimgird. So you've got the Sigrun and the Ortlind. So these, I'm going to send you some pictures here.
Wow, these Galahorn names. If you're a Viking fan, you're just smiling ear to ear. Oh wow, that looks great. It looks so Galahorn too.
It does, right? Yeah, the Sigrun I think is really cool. It's the blue one. It's got a little like rapier lance thing.
Oh, even both of them. Oh, one of them got like a feather in the hair.
Yeah, the Ortlind is very regal looking. It does have those pointy shoes you don't like, so there's that.
I was about to say, I like these from the ankles up.
Right, yeah.
Because they're in stiletto.
Maybe you just want to see it in animation. I love that Sunrise Bandai are giving us more of the Gundam frames and more of the Valkyrja frames, but I would like to see some of these in animation. So I hope that one day, if we ever do get the Calamity War movie or series or whatever, I think a cool side story would be, because the lore around the Valkyrja frames is they didn't really play a huge role in the war because they came around towards the end and there was only 9 of them and there were 72 Gundams, so it just didn't have as big of an impact, but they were very high performance. So maybe there would be a cool story where, we get to watch a team of Valkyrias stop a mobile armor at the end of the Calamity War, and where maybe the Gundams aren't around and this town or a city is going to be destroyed, but these guys team up and do it, but maybe no one knows about it. Maybe they get no glory from it, but they do their duty and take out the mobile armor. So
or Galahorn keeps it hush hush because we don't want people to know there's mobile armors running around still.
Yes. Yeah. And beyond that, I'm really excited that they're giving us those designs, but I also feel like these designs are being wasted on mobile games that probably not many people outside of Japan are playing.
No, and with the way with lore works is like if a design happened in even the most remotest game or at least minimally mass-produced game, lowest sold game, you can just take that design and it can exist in the rest of the rest of the setting because why wouldn't it? It was manufactured, so of course Galahorn's going to have more than one somewhere.
Absolutely. And I think just in case anyone's counting, I think we are at least probably somewhere close to 20 now on 20 revealed Gundams out of the 72 frames. So there's still so many Gundams to be revealed. Hopefully we get to 72 one day, Isaac. We'll be on our deathbeds by the time they reach 72 at this rate, but...
it's like a loot box.
Yeah, you just never know what you're going to get. Oh, another Barbatos.
There's a Gundam this week, yeah.
Anyway, more Valkyrja frames. That would be something I would like.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And again, Iron-Blooded Orphans was such a high-quality production. Seeing really anything flesh that out some more would be incredible and such a treat. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about that series. And so well done for being so self-contained.
Right.
Just incredible.
Yeah. Number 4, Isaac.
All right. I'm going to do a fast one at the last minute and sort of combine these two.
Okay.
And you'll hear why. I've kind of said this before, but I'm going to say it again. Oh, boy. I would like to see much more of One Year War's side stories like the 8th MS team. However, with the little caveat, the little asterisk, that I'd really just appreciate a good Jim Squad versus Zaku Squad story. Just no frills. Yeah. The only time we see the Gundam is maybe a hallucination or people watching the news or something and they're like, oh, wow, so that's the Gundam. The other side's like, oh, so that's the White Devil. Something like that. But just, the grunts, for lack of a better term, like the 8th MS team, just they're all, there's so many places all over Earth, different environments they could be at, going on their own little mini-series adventures. And yeah, side stories like that, I feel, would just completely flesh out the world and be so great.
Is Requiem for Vengeance going to scratch this itch, or is that too much Gundam in that?
I'm hoping it does.
Oh, fair.
My theory is that we're actually not going to see a ton of the Gundam. I might be wrong. I might be massively wrong, but my theory and suspicion is that what we saw is almost all we're going to see of the Gundam in that trailer.
Interesting.
The rest of it will be very much, a side story type situation where this Gundam was seen fleetingly. It was devastatingly powerful against Zeon, and then everybody kind of moved on with their week. There's other things the grunts have to do on the Xeon side and the Federation side.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's my theory about that. But I'm really hoping this is just kind of the beginning of it because similar to Star Wars where you need like Stormtroopers and Jedi on the screen for it to kind of feel like Star Wars.
Yeah.
In the same way for Gundam, you need the Mono Eyes, the Grunt Gyms, and maybe a little bit of the Gundam to kind of really make it, a Gundam side story.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have... especially for a production of that size, that they're going to have to put a Gundam in there to sell some model kits, right? So
right, yeah. With this, though, they can just kind of be like, well, you saw it on the TV. It was pretty brief, but that's about all you're going to see. We know where the Gundam is. It's not here.
I mean, it sounds like what you want is like an animated Lost War Chronicles type of thing.
Yeah, that'd be great, really.
I wish we had more of those grunt One Year War stuff. Is that overdone? Like people asking for more One Year War? I'll never not ask for more One Year War, Isaac. Just inject it into my veins,
Yeah, exactly. And we just have to kind of get over this whole problem they do when they make the side stories or side mangas where it's like, well, it turns out there was a variant Gundam that nobody knew about.
Yeah.
There was Tundra Gundam. I'm like, oh God, come on. There's no way there was a Gundam running around in like Siberia or,
Tundra Gundam sounds like a G.I. Joe playset,
Yeah, God, there was Palm Tree Gundam and it saved Polynesia. And we're like, oh, come on. This is ridiculous. There's no way the Federation would have a Gundam running around there. Instead, just do like, I don't know, the Gym Squad assigned to that area, and then their story's done. It's that easy.
Yeah, a perfect example is when the Cyclops team attacked those like cold climate gyms in 0080. Like that was perfect battle, right?
Oh, it was beautiful. Yeah,
very, very cool. I loved that. We need more of that.
That was like Gundam's Battle of Hoth almost.
Yeah, it lasted like 5 minutes, but it was great.
Yeah, Hoth kind of didn't last that long either, if you think about it.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
It was just walkers heading in one direction and then blowing up a generator, and then the battle was over.
Yeah, that's fair. Some tow cables involved. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. They lost a lot of walkers. Now they think about it.
Big waste of resources on that mission.
All right, Brian, what's on your next one for number 4?
All right, number 4 is sort of a selfish pick. I want more of the other Zeta Gundams that were active during the Grips and the first Neo-Zeon War, whether that's with Karaba or with the AUG. So that means the Zeta A1s, the C1s, the C4s, the A3. And I know there's Gundam Sentinel, and they should do that too. I think someday someone will animate Gundam Sentinel. Once they run out of ideas and they just think, we need some money, let's do it.
I hope.
Just like I think one day they'll animate Crossbone. Eventually, they're going to run out of other ideas and be like, F it, let's just give them what they want and just animate it.
They're both such iconic designs. Like, they just look so great, you know? They've been around so long.
They do. And I know there were some C1s in Unicorn, but they didn't have the best showing, but they were very old by the time Unicorn rolled around. But, you know, give me some animation during their heyday. So, and for this, I'm going to refer to the Unit 3 wiki page. So Zeta Unit 3 was piloted by Amuro. This is the white Zeta.
Yeah.
The wiki says it was piloted by Karaba Ace Amuro Ray in later stage of the Grips conflict and the first Neo-Zeon War. It was put to great success, Isaac, during both wars. Some deny this as merely propaganda, similar to the Zeta plus A1. That was the training type that they painted with his logo on it, but he didn't actually pilot it. Anyway, but then in Moon Gundam, the last few years, the Moon Gundam, Amuro's in it somewhat regularly. He's not the main character, but he does crop up quite a bit. You can watch that cool clip of him fighting against one of the things in Moon Gundam that was part of UC Engage. Anyway, in it, he confirms that he did pilot a Zeta Gundam during the Grips and the first Neo-Zeon War. He just didn't really like it very much, which is also classic Amuro, Isaac, because he's complaining, and Amuro is like a chronic complainer, and I love that about him. He's like, I liked it, but you know what? It wasn't for me. I just didn't like it.
I'm kind of curious, like, what does he mean by that, though? Like, they couldn't customize the cockpit or something? Like, you're the best pilot in the Earth sphere.
Well,
like,
so two things. One, the Zeta Gundam that they gave him did not have a biosensor, like the one that Camille had.
Okay.
Right? Probably because the Federation's like, we don't trust you, Amuro, right? They had him on house arrest anyway, so.
Sure.
And then in Moon Gundam, he does design his ideal version of the Rigazi. The Rigazi that he piloted in Char's Counterattack is apparently like a watered down version of what he wanted. And so they do make one version of the one that he wanted in Moon Gundam. I still don't think he's the one that pilots it. I believe he gives it to someone else. But it looks quite a bit different than the Rigazi in Char's Counterattack. Looks quite a bit cooler. The whole time that, you know, from post 1 Year War up until Char's Counterattack, this dude is just like, God, could you just give me a suit that I like? I feel like he's just out of luck a little bit. So
yeah, I can totally see why what's-her-name died, because she was running around in like a downgraded Rigazi.
Yeah, poor Chan, I think was her name.
Yeah, Austinaj's wife.
Oh, poor Austinash.
He made the pasta.
Yo. Yeah, that'll be on our, that should be in the cafe. So this is, I just sent you a picture of the Rigazi ID or the Rigazi Ideal. This was the one that was designed by Amuro. This is what he wanted it to look like.
Man, it looks amazing. God. It almost looks like it's, well, Amuro could kind of do whatever he wants, but this clearly looks like it's more almost a sniper type role.
Yeah, much bigger gun, huh, than the other one had?
Yeah, that was not a fast-turning gun.
It definitely looks like the Beam Smart guns from Gundam Sentinel. Anyway, but yeah, so that's what I want, Isaac. I want, give me, if this all happened, if these Zeta Gundams all did great things, give me something with that. Give me an OVA with Amuro leading the Zeta Squad on Earth in space. Sell me all the variants. I'm here. My wallet is open. You just made a new Master Grade Zeta version Ka.
Your wallet is open and your body is ready.
Just give me the Zeta Gundam side story.
Give me the Zeta Gundam injection. Just give me Zeta down my throat.
Give me those. Maybe not quite that far, but. So, all right, Isaac, number 5.
All right, so my final one. This one might shock a lot of people, including you, Brian. This involves the universe of the Witch from Mercury.
Oh my God!
As you recall, or maybe you don't, I don't know, but. Many of the companies that our main characters were affiliated with in The Witch from Mercury, either because they were like the offspring and children of the company owners, or they just like were, you know, employees of them or whatever. Many of these large companies and megacorps, they were often manufacturing weapons. They always told us about how they were manufacturing weapons and how they were developing new technology, all this research and development, blah, 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 right?
That's true.
Well, this will address the elephant in the room, so to speak. And by that, I mean we will see where these weapons went in this side story or this prequel. This will show us exactly what is going on in other spheres, because as we know, they already established there's Mercury, right? We never really saw it, but they know it's there. They established that there's asteroid research bases, right? We saw one blown up in the prequel by the my favorite version of Happy Birthday. We saw Earth, not doing great. And then we saw, the colonies that each megacorp seems to own.
Right.
So we will see exactly what's going on in other spheres. I think it'd be great to see some planets we haven't seen before, such as the Saturn Sphere Wars.
Ooh.
Uranus Sphere Wars.
Wow.
It writes itself, Brian, and it'd be awesome if we see that those are just colony on colony wars, just incredible battles, asteroid fighting. We'd see that, oh yeah, what we saw was pretty much the equivalent of like the Ivy League of the world and their little petty squabbles compared to the war-torn wastelands where
Right.
the battles were actually happening and all the military industrial product was actually being shipped to and purchased for. So I feel like that would go a long way as far as fleshing out the Witch from Mercury, which I still would like to revisit it if it can be done better, maybe with even new characters or a time skip. But I feel like that's just ripe for the picking, and it'd be awesome to see that.
Yeah, so a few things come to mind. I mean,
Oh
one,
boy.
that was always one of our biggest questions throughout the show, right? And I feel like they never answered us. So what you're asking for would definitely fill that gap. And if I remember, Isaac, that was one of our biggest questions, even when we watched that prequel episode. Remember, we were like, oh, this is going to have so many like business factions and we're going to get to learn all about them. Remember when they they stood on that glass ceiling, and then like we never saw any of that again.
No.
Also, Witch from Mercury is the definition of violating the show don't tell rule. It's called Witch from Mercury, and then they never showed it to us. So the fact that if they did reveal that there were all these wars in other spheres, that would make a lot of sense because they're so far away. Maybe that's why we didn't see any of whatever it is they were doing.
Absolutely.
That would be pretty neat. That'd be a good way to go with the story, to at least expand, or explain why we didn't really see any of this stuff that they were talking about.
No, it was such a bizarre thing to leave out, really. Like, it made the series unique in that there wasn't really a war per se happening up until like the one battle at the end. But this would really address the fact that oh God, I forgot the name of the administration that actually runs things for the corporations. But
yeah,
this would kind of address well, why do you need that thing? Well, this is why, and why do we need such high-speed communication that you could kind of turn it into a super laser? And it's like, well, because we're communicating with Saturn and Jupiter and Uranus, and they're having these massive wars where we're shipping weapons and we're trying to stay in touch with them. So yeah, it really writes itself, and it's already in the lore and the setting. So they just need to do it, and it'd be awesome. And of course, Gundam show up, Brian.
Oh, they gotta have some more Gundams, yeah.
Yeah.
How long did you hold out in Witch? Like, what episode did you give up hope that you were gonna see Mercury?
I was about halfway through, and I knew we weren't going.
Yeah.
Because we went to everywhere but Mercury.
Yeah.
We went to like a different colony. We went to Earth. It was yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair. The only question I have about this, Isaac, is do Witch from Mercury fans care about lore to that degree?
I think they'd care to see some characters return, definitely Gundam's return. But lore-wise, I'm going to say yes. They might be okay just staying in the school or going to a different school, really, and seeing more drama that way. But yeah, I feel like seeing where the weapons are actually going would be a great way to expand the whole setting. So I'd hope they'd be on board.
And two, you made a comment about having a time skip. I feel like in Witch, the Gundams were so closely tied to Suletta and her family, that it would be hard to have a show without her to some respect. However, at the end of the show, she was not in shape to ever really pilot again. But I think it would be cool if they were going to do a time skip, Isaac, and it would be in theme with the show, because how they had quite a bit more advanced technology than we do, particularly in bio and biomechanic stuff. If they somehow combine the DNA of Suletta and Miorine to make a kid, I feel like that would be very on brand with the show.
There's no reason they can't. I think they can today with our modern technology. So
can they do that? I don't know.
Yeah, I think they can. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, it would be amazing if they could do that. And you know what? We'd get a lot of familiar faces coming back. It'd be such a great way to just continue the story, but this time, for lack of a better word, or for lack of a better phrasing, make it more Gundam. Once again, there's going to be a war somewhere in Gundam. That's just the way things work, 9 times out of 10.
Still shocked they ended that at 26 episodes.
Yeah, I wonder, well, perhaps there was cold feet at the decision-making table.
Yeah, maybe.
With certain things being changed, as we saw with the final release, and the statement that there's a friendship when, as far as I'm concerned, here in America in 2024, that was much more than a friendship.
As far as I'm concerned, they're right now, so.
Oh, my God.
As far as I'm concerned, they're married right now, yeah.
Happily married, yeah.
All right, Isaac, we've come to the end. My number 5.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I'm actually surprised this was not on your list. So,
Oh my God.
the first thing we have to talk about is the pronunciation of this family's name. I think it might be pronounced the Buch family.
Ah,
Buch.
in my headcanon, I think maybe the few times I heard it was Butch.
Well, okay, so that was my question. Has it ever been pronounced in animated work? I can't recall.
I could have sworn it was pronounced once. I can't remember off the top of my head where. I don't think it was F91.
We've seen it written places.
Yeah.
We saw like one of them in the background, I think in the Hathaway film. But I don't know if they ever said their name. And like I'm not like refreshing the wiki every day for these things, but I did check again on the Buch family, and someone has filled out some more of the wiki since I last looked at it. And it looks like there's some characters from the family in the Twilight Axis manga and the Twilight Axis novel, which I don't think that was there last time. So maybe someone read it. Whoever you are that filled out the wiki, good on you.
Nice.
Did you know, Isaac, that the founder of the Buch family, his name is Skarnhorst Buch.
No, I didn't know that.
And he has 2 kids, Engeist and Meitzer. Now, all 3 of those names are German, Isaac, obviously.
Ah.
And the German pronunciation would be Buch.
Buch.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, it's a good thing we're not in Germany, because here it's called Butch. Not kidding.
So here's what we know about them, Isaac. In UC 55, Skarnhorst Buch would become the founder of the Buch concern's space salvage business. Years later, in UC 68, Skarnhorst would purchase the good name of the Rona noble European family. Engeist Rona was the eldest son of Skarnhorst Buch and brother of Meitzer. He was a member of the Earth Federation Congress and became the center of the Rona family's political network. In later years, he became vice president of the Colony Public Corporation and was involved in the construction of the frontier side. He was unaware of the Crossbone Vanguard's planned uprising.
No, Engeist had to know.
You think so? I don't know. I mean, he did build it out in the frontier side.
Yeah, if that was, they clearly kind of spelled that out in F91. Remember, they were like pointing out, well, clearly these colonies were designed to look very European.
Yeah.
So someone in the Federation or the colony development clearly had a hand in this.
Yeah, but isn't that nuts? I didn't realize he was in the CPC, the Colony Public Corp. So that's new info to me.
That's a great place to have like your brother.
Absolutely. Now you can tell, wow, they're such an influential family for sure.
Yeah.
And then, it goes on to say that they founded Buch Junk, Buch Aerodynamics. And then the other thing I was going to mention is, I believe there's also some information about this family in Tomino's F91 novel, along with the Twilight Axis stuff. But I mean, the F91 novel's been out for a long time, so I'm not sure how much is in that novel. Given that Tomino told the Crossbone guy to forget about Darrell, I'm not sure he cares too much. But anyway, I just think they need to give us more about the Buch family, given how influential they are in basically the Universal Century's second act. And I feel like we don't know a whole lot about them. So I guess we got to go read this Twilight Axis manga / novel.
You know who's going to find out about it? A crack team from the Federation with a cloaked Gundam.
There you go.
Oh, they're going to be sneaky. It's going to be sneaky Gundam, stalking them around the Earth sphere and just tracking what they're up to, because they're up to no good.
Mobile suit sneaky Gundam.
Yeah, it just cloaks. It turns black. You can't even see it on screen.
I think Buch makes them sound a little more evil. And of course, they would be German. I mean,
yeah.
I feel like all the bad guys are German in Gundam.
If you see what they planned in F91,
yeah.
Let's just say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Poor Germany. The German people are like, why you got to do this, guys? They're like trying to get over it, and Gundam just keeps bringing it back.
That's the problem. I'm not sure we should get over it. It was pretty bad.
No, I mean, the German people are trying to put it, behind themselves and being like, look, we're not like that,
Fool me once. All right. We just lost all our German listeners.
Isaac's never going to be fooled again.
No. Nuclear Isaac knows exactly what to do if they show up again.
He's got Azrael's clickety-clack detonators in his hands right now.
It's like, don't worry. I know exactly what to do to these types of people.
But that's my number 5. Give us more of the Buch concern. I think we need to know.
Yeah, God, they had to lay so much groundwork before F91, and we can see their whole plot unfolding as they're being tried to track by this little Federation team, and then eventually it turns out, by the way, they have someone really high up in the Federation who just makes sure they go along with their plan.
It's honestly one of the longest cons in UC history, right?
Yeah.
If he founded his thing in UC 0055, that's a long road. 70 plus years.
Yeah, they learned from Xeon that like you don't fight the Federation. You just kind of do a coup within it.
Yeah.
You know, and then from there you try to use the bugs to one-shot them, but that fortunately didn't happen.
Yeah, we didn't have the bugs on our list. I guess we should have brought those back too.
No, we can see proto bugs. That'd be cool.
This is 2 weeks in a row talking about the bugs, Isaac. That's let me see another podcast do that.
Would you like a master grade bug?
They should. It should be a multi-pack though. You got to sell me more than one bug at a time.
Probably. I mean, well, you kind of get two because you get the mini bug. Remember?
Yeah. You got to have the mini bugs. Yeah, that's true.
We should get some dinner plates that are like bugs.
God, they serve those at the Gundam Cafe. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be cool. It cuts you.
It spins too. It's on like a little wheel.
That'd be cool. I like that.
Yeah. That's a deep cut right there. They're never making that.
That's the pizza cutter that they use. Oh, there you go.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, I like that.
Everybody lines up and like, oh, they're gonna cut the pizza. Like, who cares? It's just a pizza. It's like, no, this is clearly your first time here at the Gundam Cafe. Like, you have to watch them use the bug to cut the pizza, and then the big thing lowers and cuts the pizza.
This is the most morbid pizza cutter that will ever be created.
All right.
All right. Well, on that nice morbid note, listeners, let us know things that you want to see more of in Gundam. Characters, situations, suits, battles, all of the above. We had 5. How many do you have? Did we share any? Did we hit any on your list? Ours were very specific, so I'd be a little shocked.
They better have specific ones. There must be a lot of fans out there who are like, I want to see a side story at Loam. Or I want to see more side stories were happening at Raya, or Libo or something. There's so much more they can even do in G Gundam. I'm really surprised you didn't bring up G Gundam because there's like so many fights that they've already had. So it'd be interesting to kind of do a lot of prequel series, seeing how that started, or even the first one. The first one might be really interesting. But yeah, let us know, listeners, what you'd like to see more of in Gundam, even if it's just a specific type of mobile suits. Maybe you're sick of mono eyes and you don't want to see any of those. Instead, you want to see more bug eyes or goggle eyes.
Yeah, you can't go up to 2 eyes. That's too normal. You got to go to 3 eyes. So like tri eyes.
Man, that reminds me of like in Afterwar Gundam X, how the Space Revolutionary Army they had mono eyes, but they were behind like this 3-line grill. That was kind of their thing. They looked so cool. I love those in Master Grade. Yeah,
grills were really popular at the time. So
I love it.
All right, Isaac, take us away.
All right, listeners, before you go to sleep tonight, stand next to your bed, put your hands together, get on your knees, look up at the ceiling, and hail Xeon.
Good night, everybody.